everybody, and welcome to the good, the bad, and the encyclopedia. I am your host, the bad, the devil's advocate. With me, of course, my tag team partner, the encyclopedia himself. Good evening, encyclopedia. What's going on?
Good evening. Okay, there's the tag. Thank you for tagging me in.
And
Self
our
high
partner-
five.
Oh boy. Our trio's tag team partner, the good Reverend himself. What's up, Reverend?
Can't stop listening to that new Trick Williams album. That's my life right now.
All right.
Oh, you haven't heard it yet? We'll talk about that a little bit.
I don't, and I probably not my type of music, but yeah, go ahead.
So tonight we've got several topics to talk about. We're going to show No Mercy to No Mercy. We're going to talk a little bit of All Out, and we've got some other comments. So how do we want to kick off? We want to talk about let's talk about the pay-per-view. Let's talk about. We've got two of them actually to talk about, right? We've got Bash in Berlin, and we've got No Mercy. So I'm going to tag myself out of No Mercy because unfortunately I did not get a chance to watch it. So let's talk Bash in Berlin first. So I'm going to throw this one out to the encyclopedia. What'd you think of the show? What'd you like? What'd you not like?
Are we doing the timer, by the way?
No, we don't need to do that.
Can
That
add
was
it
funny
in
once.
post.
That was funny once, and folks, let me tell you, it took me almost a day to encode the video just because of adding the freaking timer for fun. But anyway, Bash at Berlin, I thought it was a really good show. I don't think there was too many surprises there that we came across. Gunther's reaction, I thought, was amazing. I found it interesting how he's been embraced as being German. I know there's a history with Germany there, but correct me if I'm wrong. He's actually Austrian, isn't he?
He is. I think
Okay.
as a wrestler, he was born in Germany. But
Okay. All right. No, that's fair because I was like, I just that one was throwing me for a loop. But yeah, I don't have a ton to say there. I thought it was a really, really good show. No surprises there. The whole Kevin Owens struggle with himself about whether to go that extra step to get the win. I found that intriguing, and they didn't go with what a lot of people I think thought was coming, a heel turn. So curious to see where that goes. The Punk McIntyre match, the strap match, I thought for a strap match it was pretty good. I mean, strap matches are never really match of the night, I believe, but I thought this one was really good, and they didn't go with the standard ending. They teased it. They teased it, and I was literally sitting there watching, and my poor wife walks in the room, and I'm just like, no, please, no. I've seen this ending too many times. Can we be original? Thank God they were. But yeah, is it one that I'm going to necessarily go back and watch over and over again? That we could say about the majority of shows? No, but I think if you have the 3 hours to spend, it's worth a one-time watch. I'm going to kick it over now to our host for the evening, the evil one, the devil's advocate.
Okay. I thought it was a decent show. Gotta love the Terror Twins. Particularly gotta love the way Rhea pinned Liv Morgan. That seems to be a lot of memes and a lot of other people making a lot of comments about that. Good, bad, and indifferent. The Gunther match, very good. I mean, Gunther, that bruise on his arm looked awful. It looked really painful. I mean, and I love the fact that we had to switch to his left hand mid-match, and and like somebody was selling. Oh my God, like he was selling the injury. Like when he threw a clothesline with his right arm, he was like, "Ow!" I mean, I was like, "Yes, good for you." The strap match, I thought it's funny. I liked the strap match a lot until I got to Monday Night Raw. And what I mean by that is it looked like it was a real definitive ending. I mean, Punk really laid in a beating in a McIntyre. And then you come to Monday night and Punk's like, okay, I'm ready to move on. And McIntyre's like, yeah, we're not done yet. Hold on a minute. So I don't know why they went with such a definitive end to the strap match when they really knew they were going to move on to another match. So little criticism there, not a big one. Um, what I do want to bring up, and I'll bring them up, and then of course, I want the Reverend to give his thoughts, and then I want to talk a little bit about um, some of the comments people are making. And the two comments I wanted to bring up that I'd like your opinions on is number one, a lot of people are saying Cody Rhodes' reign is not going well. Like they don't feel like he feels like a champion. Like Gunther feels like a champion, and Cody doesn't. And what they're pointing to is that the Universal Title match led off the pay-per-view, and when Roman Reigns was champion, he never led off a pay-per-view. I don't know if I agree with all that, but again, it's something thoughts I want to throw out. I want to see what you guys think about that. And the other thing is the predictability. I mean, we went 5-0, right? We didn't really. I don't think we agonized over any of these picks at all. I think we were all pretty clear on what we thought was going to happen. And going back several pay-per-views, same thing. I mean, storyline, can't argue about storyline. They're doing a really good job building. But then when you get to the matches, it's kind of like, well, after a while, do you feel like you have to watch? Like, did anybody really think Kevin Owens was going to win? I didn't. I didn't think there was a chance in hell. Did anybody think the Terror Twins were going to lose? No. So I mean, the one thing you could say about AEW versus WWE is, like, AEW, sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen. You could make arguments either way, and still the 10 minutes before the pay-per-view starts, you're like, maybe I should change what I was thinking, or maybe they're going in a different direction. Where WWE, you're going to like, all right, well, Gunther's going to win. Yep. Randy Orton's going to give him a good match, but in the end, we know who's going to win. And as I read through the results, I'm kind of like, yeah, all right, well, I think I want to watch it, but I'm not like, oh my God, I have to watch it. So let me throw it back to the Reverend. I'd like to hear what he thinks about this show. And then I want you guys to talk a little bit about the predictability and the Cody thing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. And kind of to echo you guys, I enjoyed the show. I thought everything was good. I think when we talked about it last week, I was like, yeah, this is probably just part 2 of the Punk McIntyre saga. And, escalation, it probably ends with a Hell in a Cell, or at least somehow a cage. But as a strap match, I enjoyed it. I like that end with him hitting a GTS between each of the corner taps. I thought that was a little different. I enjoyed that. But yeah, it was good. They hit hard and all that. I don't know if you guys have seen the memes made highlighting the fact that Drew was keeping the bracelet in his pants and Punk kissed it once he got it back. But aside from that, good stuff. Gunther and Randy Orton. Gunther's different, man. I like his matches. They're just fun to watch. But I enjoyed that story that they were telling, and I enjoyed the story that they told with Cody and Kevin Owens. I thought those were all good matches. I will say this: just as the unholy union is starting to grow on me in terms of what they do in the ring, like just the fact that okay, Alba Fire actually was a good wrestler at one point. That's when they lose the titles. Wasn't a big shock, but it's I wonder if they can keep that trajectory going and keep improving in the ring so they look like a good tag team. And
they got more offense than I thought they were gonna get.
Yeah, they did, and I thought they did a good job of building them up over the past month, which is weird. I think they had like 4 defenses since they won that title, 3 or 4 defenses, and that's pretty good. I mean, to showcase them like that. And of course, the real tag team everybody cared about, it was Rhea and Priest, and we got exactly what we wanted. You wanted to see Dom get his ass whooped. You wanted to see Liv get her ass whooped. That was enough. I do have a question for you guys. Do you think the fact that I saw this written somewhere, and maybe we can come back to it. I saw it written somewhere, Finn Balor cost Damian Priest the World Heavyweight Championship. And there was a point in time, if you were the guy who cost the champion his title, you ended up further up in that echelon with around the title. and he's kind of just not in there yet. Like, I feel like he should be inserting himself into that picture. And maybe it's just because they knew Randy Orton was going to be that first guy. I don't know, but I feel like Finn Balor did that, and now he's not as important anymore.
Well, they're not even setting up to be the second guy because now they're setting up Sami Zayn.
Right, which we can come back
So
to
Finn
that.
Balor's
That's a whole other
isn't
thing.
even close to the world title at this point.
Right. I mean, as it is, Priest isn't even. I mean, you get that Priest has a grudge now going on, but I don't know. I feel like I like the idea of, even when the personal grudges are going on, I like the idea that they still know it's a business and they're trying to go for that title, and the money and the prestige and all that stuff they talk about that comes with it. So that might be my only little gripe about the show. Other than that, nothing. No, I enjoyed it. I think we should come back to those couple of points that you mentioned.
But you did bring up a point, and I get why Dominic and Liv had to team up, but Damien's issue was with Finn.
Right.
So what does he get out of
Rhea's issue?
Well, yeah, but I think
I
think he was helping Rhea.
Yeah.
Right, but then Finn, I don't know. I feel like, well, we saw this week on Raw, Jey Uso came in to help and teamed up with Damian Priest in the main event. Couldn't you have made it a 6-man, get Finn in there on one side, Jey on the other?
Finn said he wouldn't wrestle Priest in a singles match.
Right.
He ain't the fucking boss. I mean,
that's the story.
Angle they went with, though.
Right.
That's what they went with. That's why it ended up being what it was.
Yeah.
And in a way, you could see that happening in that, well, Adam Pearce, possibly least effective GM in the history of GMs.
Pierce?
He can't control any of them. But you could say, oh, well, he's been too busy to make that happen, in a way. But in truth, no, they could have. I can't understand how we haven't gotten closer to that match yet.
Well, like I said, Damien's trying to get. You mean Priest and Gunther? I mean,
Priest and
Balor and
yeah.
Gunther. Or
Balor. No, I'd like to see them eventually all focus, but I know it can't happen until you get that blow-off match with Priest and Balor. Like, that has to happen first.
Mm-hmm.
But then I still want to see them all going for that title. But yeah, I just don't want Balor to get lost in the shuffle there. And he's a tag team champion too, and you forget that part.
Well, yeah, they also, right, that was a point on the show, is that they haven't defended the title.
Yeah. I kind of like that they brought it up. That means at least somebody's thinking about it.
All right, yeah. So which topic do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Cody, or do you want to talk about predictability?
You take lead.
Yeah,
well,
you flip the coin.
Let's go predictability. So, Encyclopedia, how do you feel about what I said? Do you think it's true, not true? Any thoughts?
I don't.
You at all that you kind of know who's going to win?
I don't. I don't disagree that it's been very predictable. I do. It doesn't bother me as much because I feel like for a long time it was. What would you rather have, predictability where you're getting, what you're getting, or you're getting what you want, or would you rather getting pissed off at the booking? I think there's arguments for both. That Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes match, I mean, yeah, going in, we all picked Cody across the board, and not too many people probably thought Kevin Owens was winning. But the way that match played out, I started wondering if, oh shoot, like the way it was going, could Kevin Owens actually win the title? Are they gonna pull it off? Are they gonna do a switch? So even though we're 99% sure who's winning, I feel like they put enough doubt in the booking of these matches that you're like, what if they shocked us and went the other way? And I think that's why a huge reason why we're getting the predictability. I think at some point soon, there's going to be a match that we for sure know who's going to win, and then they're going to pull the rug out from under us, and it's going to mean more and be more shocking in that respect. So I'm okay with it. You mentioned AEW. I feel like AEW for a while has been pretty predictable too. I mean, if you go back and look at the All In, yeah, we didn't clean house, but we all went 8-3 on that one too. So,
do you think it was bad that Kevin Owens hit the stunner twice and Cody kicked out both times?
At the same note, Cody hit the crossroads how many times before he finally got the pin? I feel like kicking out of finishers is okay in some title matches, not every single one. At this point, well, I see your point. I don't disagree. I think it's just so commonplace that I'm getting numb to it.
I mean, I would have
Everybody,
thought the second time he hit him, I would have thought Cody's foot would have went over the ropes or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that would have
yeah.
made more sense to me. The fact that he hit 2 clean stunners and didn't get a 3 count either time, I was kind of like, come on, man, we could have done a little better than that. I mean,
Hey, you know my stance. Pop-up power bomb's a better finisher for him, but
yeah, I like that one too better.
Yeah,
So Reverend,
definitely.
how do you feel about predictability these days?
I care more about execution than whether or not I can predict the outcome. Like when I watch the match, is it something I'll remember? Is it something I'll enjoy? More importantly, because we watch so much wrestling during the week, it's hard to remember. But do I enjoy it in the moment? And does it make me want to see what happens next or care about the characters at all? And the answer has been yes, consistently. So predictability, I mean, if you really think about it, how many unpredictable outcomes have you had at major shows historically from WWE? I mean,
Cody not winning the title the first time.
there you go. And that was what, 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
year and a half.
I guess a year and a half. Well, yeah, year and a half. You're right. Only a year and a half. Okay. Stone Cold going over on The Rock at WrestleMania 17 was a surprise. I feel like everybody watching that was legitimately surprised.
I bet a lot of people thought Shawn Michaels would get a win on The Undertaker the second time around.
That's a possible one.
I
Yeah.
did see that. I didn't. I see, and I remember most of the people I talked to at that time didn't think so. They thought, yeah, Michaels is pretty much done.
But I think
Trying to think of what would be the most shocking. Brock Lesnar ending the streak.
yes, that was a legitimate shock.
You know, I'm not saying every pay-per-view has
Right.
to have a shock ending. It's just
I
it seems like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5, we've been just kind of running the table
right, but what I mean
without
for it
any
is,
doubt.
like we've been watching this for, I mean, but between us, we've been watching this all for like over 100 years of watching wrestling.
800 years.
I mean, if we factor in all the wrestling you've watched, I mean, that's got to be a good,
Hey, I had a good seat
extra
at the
300.
Coliseum, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so we're kind of attuned to that. I don't think everybody goes into watching, like, you don't go to a show thinking, am I going to predict this or is it going to be exactly who I expect to win? You go expecting to enjoy the show. And I feel like watching it with that idea in mind makes it more enjoyable, and the predictability be damned.
But
If
but
it's
you're
good,
saying
it's
that,
good.
but then you all said you don't know if you'd go back and watch these again.
That's because I watch so much wrestling. It is hard to go back and watch. You know when I go back and watch stuff? When we do a watch along.
And I see when I'm working out or whatever, I will go on WWE Network and find something old to watch just
Yeah.
because. But it's something specific. I'm not watching like a
Okay. So you have
Raw.
some
I'm
favorites in mind.
right. Like I've
Okay.
watched the '92 Rumble like a million times. I mean,
That's
if I'm
fair.
like looking for something to put on and just really that I can enjoy it, it's something like that. Or like with Sid now being gone, I watched a couple of Sid matches just because, so.
Right. That's
And
fair.
I love old ECW shows, so I'm always find a little. I may not finish it, but I'll watch some of it, to kill time.
Right. And I do fall into YouTube rabbit hole every so often of old
Yeah,
matches and clips
yeah.
from old matches coming up, and I'll think of a certain wrestler or something. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. I want to go back and see that. So yes, I just mean that. But then again, I go back and watch stuff from like years ago. But years ago, I wasn't going back and watching everything on repeat.
Yeah, I'm
You know
just
what I
curious.
mean?
Like 5 years from now, we'll be like, hey, we should watch Bash in Berlin.
I think some of these things, maybe a match or two from each show,
Mm,
you'll think
okay,
about, hey, that was
fair
pretty
enough.
special. I think we'll be talking about everybody will be talking about Gunther 5 years from now in such a way that they'll be like, oh shoot, yeah, let's go back and watch this when he started.
He'll be
What
on
did
his
they
fifth
say?
year of his title reign.
Yeah, exactly. um, so yeah, I think there's some stuff
Okay.
worth going back for.
So the other thing I brought up was the Cody situation, and like I was saying, a lot of people have been saying, and I kind of agree to a point. I think the problem with Cody is the problem we have with a face as a champion. I think the face is always better in the race. I think they're way more interesting when they're chasing a title. It's when they win the title that it always seems to be their opponents are more colorful and are more interesting. So, the other point, like I said, that I brought up was a lot of people were saying when uh, Roman Reigns had the title, he'd never lead off a pay per view. He was always the main event. So, Encyclopedia, you think there's any credence to that? That maybe Cody's reign is not where it should be, or where it could be, and anything like that?
I mean, right now I haven't seen any comments like that specifically. I think what
I've seen some.
I wasn't denying anything you guys just said.
No. I'm just saying you're lucky. I've seen them. They annoy me. But go on, please.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would say half the comments I saw in that match where Cody should, the world title's been devalued. Cody's, leading off a pay per view, and Roman never did, and his reign is boring.
Did okay? They were in Bash. It was Bash at Berlin, folks. Gunther's closest thing to a home country match. Did anyone really think Cody and Kevin were going on last? I could see the argument for second to last, but they've done this before. Seth freaking Rollins beat Brock Lesnar in the opening of WrestleMania 35. I was there. So it's not unheard of. They've done Edge versus Alberto Del Rio was one of the first instances I could think of at WrestleMania 27. It's not unheard of. So I don't think the match placement necessarily is the issue. I think Cody's merchandise apparently is selling really well. He's being compared to doing more or just as much as Cena during his reign, except that fans seem to like him. I think the only issue I have with his title reign is a lack of credible challengers, and that's an issue with booking. They're not booking challengers very well. Nobody thought AJ Styles, coming out of WrestleMania, AJ Styles was going to be the number one contender. Nobody thought Kevin Owens was going to be the challenger at Bash at Berlin. The only challenger I could really, he got freaking Logan Paul, for crying out loud. I think the only challenger he got that actually made sense as far as rankings and storyline was Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get, I'm sure you guys saw the same rumors I did. SmackDown's moving to USA Network next week. Tomorrow is the last episode ever on Fox. Mm-hmm. We're probably getting Solo Cody too at SmackDown, is the rumor. Oh. You know what? I'd rather that, and you have Roman do his running because we know that's coming, and Roman made it clear at SummerSlam. I believe there's been clips after the fact that he basically said this ain't over between us either, or something like that. He said something. How do you protect Cody and still build on the Roman and Solo match, possibly one-on-one, that doesn't make Cody become second fiddle to them, at least for another month? Triple threat of bad blood. Roman, Cody, Solo. Go ahead.
I thought Gunther and Randy Orton was a good match, but I was like, to me, the matchup is Cody Randy. I mean, they have history. I just saw a clip of Randy Orton giving Dusty Rhodes an RKO right in front of Cody. I'm like, why have we not booked this?
I think it's coming, but I think now the problem is you gotta build Randy back up. That might be a WrestleMania match, because I don't think we're seeing Cody versus Rock at WrestleMania. I think the bigger match is the match that we thought we were getting this year, Rock versus Roman. Sorry. I think that's your WrestleMania match. So where does that leave Cody? I think the biggest match for Cody at WrestleMania this year would be against Randy Orton. And you could build to that without a Royal Rumble win for Randy Orton, because honestly, I'm sick and tired of them repeat winners for the Royal Rumble. But anyway.
Fair. Yeah, they also, what was it when they teamed up recently? I think it was the 6-man match against the Bloodline when they were setting that up. Orton was just staring a hole through the title over Cody's shoulder.
It's
Hey, buddy,
subtle.
you okay? Look at that
It's
title.
subtle. Slow
It's
build.
well done. Yeah.
I mean, I would have thought he would have been his first natural challenger, right? I mean, you're a brand new champion, like he's vulnerable.
I don't think
you
he
know?
should be. I don't think he should have been.
I get your logic there, but I think that's bigger than a back. What was that? What that would have been a Backlash in France? I think that's a big. I think that's a big 4 match.
I mean, it could be right?
The mentor,
correctly,
and
sure.
the student.
I think
built
there's some
correctly, it could be.
business reasons too, though. I think right now, as a face, Randy Orton is a very, very good commodity for WWE. So you want to make sure that's an emotional match. So you're not going to have that be face versus face. Somebody got to turn.
Not
If you want to
necessarily.
build it up. I mean, you could build it up face versus face, but it's Randy Orton. Come on.
We
If
want
you
the
want him to
Viper.
do, if you want him doing his best work,
Yeah, I want him to retire as the Viper. I don't want happy Randy. I want mean, awful Randy.
yeah.
Yeah, but he just re-signed for, like, I think it was, the rumor was another 5 years. So
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
you need to
true,
rush that. I actually think it would be more interesting right now to do Randy versus Cody, and it could be face versus face, but Randy could still be playing mind games here and there, not like in a heel, like it would come across as heel, but the cool heel in some respects.
Yeah.
You know, hey, don't forget what I did to your dad. I could do the same thing to you. Don't forget who brought you to the next level. That was me. Remember, you're the legacy here. You know, stuff like that. And you could have Cody staying face, but going out of his mind that I have to beat my mentor. I've never actually beat my mentor, and like to the point where he's screaming in his face, not as a heel, but as that desperate face that's like makes you question whether he thinks he could do it.
Kind of like with the Roman story, where it's like, I have to beat you. If I can't beat you, what's the point?
Yeah, but
especially that second build up.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what happens. But
all right,
I got a question.
My final stance on Cody is what I already stated. I feel like you guys need to give your final stance. So apologies if I hijacked this.
Oh no, I got a question though. Because I've heard people talk about this and say, yeah, no, the run isn't so good. And I always think, what metric are they going by? You mentioned the booking and the credible challengers, and to that I say, okay.
It's feel.
Feel. However, what is the real measurement of being a successful face of WWE in 2024? And I'm asking you that seriously because I don't know if I can figure out what all the factors that go into it are. If he's doing all the things that the company needs him to do, that you expect the face of the company to do, then it's successful. He's doing all the media. He's doing all those things. But then it's more people saying, oh, but I don't like the challengers. And I feel like it's just whiny. It makes me think of that old Daniel Bryan promo when he, just before he went to the savior of the planet or whatever, and he called everybody fickle. It is fickle. Everybody was sick of Roman. And now they were sick of Roman, and then they get Cody, and 6 months later, oh, it's not working out. Roman was better, and I just think it's just sour grapes a lot of the time for people.
But I think the Encyclopedia is right. I think it's you have to feed him the right challengers to make him strong. And I think what, I know, don't get used to it. I think it's feel. Like, I think people, and I think it goes back to face versus heel. I think Gunther has been thrown very tough challenges, and he's fought through them. Right, and he's taken punishment. Where Cody is kind of almost coasting in a way. I think is what the problem is. We haven't seen anybody that we feel like can take the title off of him. Where Randy Orton is a great challenger, and Gunther. He's taking beatings. I mean, he's not just rolling over people, but he's still winning, and he's winning convincingly. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the problem. I think AJ Styles is not. Look, I love AJ Styles, but I don't think he's like the first challenger right out of the gate you wanted to have. And then, we go with Kevin Owens, and it's kind of like it's almost like a wishy-washy kind of feud because they won't let Owens turn. So you're not really getting the real Kevin Owens, you're getting the sanitized version. So I don't think they've done him any favors. I think after that epic run where he ran through Brock Lesnar and, got to Roman and finally beat him, and then it's kind of like he went all over. It's like going on a roller coaster. He got to the top, and all of a sudden it went down.
Okay.
And I'm not saying you can't go down somewhat, but I think he took a nosedive. And again, no disrespect to AJ Styles. I just think he was the wrong challenger for that time. Now, who was the right challenger, I don't know. I mean, that's something we'd have to debate. But I don't think they had any thoughts after Roman. I think they were kind of like, well, I don't know. AJ Styles is available. Let's plug him in. He's a good wrestler. He'll give him good matches.
I think you're right there. I personally, if I had a complaint about Cody's run as champion, it would be that he has to hit his finisher multiple times in every defense, and it gets a little old. And I mean that, and I say that because Brock Lesnar's run as champ worked because the F5 was the most protected finisher in the company during that run. So no matter what happened, no matter how great the match was, F5 over. Except until you got to Roman Reigns, of course. Roman Reigns, though, finishers. I mean, also he was a heel, so he was able to do shenanigans and all that stuff. But hit that spear, over. I don't like the fact that Cody has so much trouble putting people away in the match. That would be my complaint. I don't think that makes him a failure as a champion or to run a failure. I just think it means they need to up their game a bit. Also, this is the problem when you have two world champions in a company. I've never seen both titles booked well at the same time. Just haven't seen it. And it's frustrating as hell. Or I should say, I haven't seen both titles booked amazingly at the same time.
I would want to go back and research that and see when the last time we felt like both titles were defended well. But let's drop that because that's a whole other ball of wax
it
to
is.
get into. Let's move on to No Mercy. Now, as I said in the beginning, I'm going to step back. I didn't get a chance to watch the show. I've said it all along. I really don't watch NXT. I read the results. And as you know, for those who listen, my picks, I just say whatever the Encyclopedia is picking, I will pick. But that doesn't stop us from commenting. So I'm going to let the Reverend start off this time. What did you think of No Mercy?
Hold on a second. Are you insinuating you're going to go and watch it this weekend then?
No.
Exactly. So look at this bullshit. I didn't have time to watch it. You didn't want to watch it. Be transparent with our
We had an extra day off.
Be transparent with our folks.
Hold on a second. While I am the king of lies, I'm not lying here. I've never claimed to watch NXT. I've never made my picks claiming I have any knowledge. I mean, I use you as my guide. I mean, come on, how stupid could I be? So,
wow.
I've never said I've done NXT. I've never made any aspersions about
said I didn't get a chance to watch it. That's not true. You didn't want to watch it.
I revised my statement. I'm not going to watch it.
Okay. Be honest. That's what we're asking.
For some reason, we had to go on that tangent. But let's go back to the Reverend. Reverend, what did you think of No Mercy? I would love to know. And talk as long as you want.
Oh, we'll split your time up equally. Don't worry.
That's right. You could have my time.
Yes.
Do you know what? If you want to take the rest of the 45 minutes, I'll call it a night. Knock yourself out. It's cool.
Hold on, let me get another sip of water. Oh no. Listen, I liked No Mercy.
I know why the attendance is so high at the church. It's those wonderful homilies you give.
That's right. Hey, listen.
I thought it was the giving. I thought it was the wine given out.
Well, listen. If you're when you get enough in the donation plate, you get the better sacrament. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
You don't get Ripple.
I love that this is coming from the guy who, Rob, I don't know if you noticed, but when you were talking early in the show, this guy was doing this.
Oh, about the Cody's run being a failure thing. That's my thought. That's how I feel about when people.
But technically, you're not allowed to do that, right?
Exactly. Maybe that's
you can repent.
All right.
All
Maybe
right,
that's why
and
the collection plates are so high. He threatens to do that
I'm
in front
turning
of everybody.
I'm turning the
Like,
wheel
here,
back.
it's
We've
money.
gone on a tangent again. Go ahead.
are you turning this car
Yeah,
around?
yeah.
We're having fun.
I'm turning the car around. Go.
Okay, Nana.
All right, listen, No Mercy was good. A couple of things about it. I can't get enough of Obafemi right now, and it's a shame he's gonna end up losing at some point. But I just enjoy him, and I really like that match with Tony D'Angelo. I think the last couple of defenses you've seen him start to have stronger opponents who could actually inflict some damage, and I like seeing him fight through that. So I enjoy Obafemi. Um, if I don't know if you watched NXT this week, Encyclopedia, but he went um so old school Nigerian in that backstage promo with the family that I just couldn't stop laughing at it. With the women should be seen and not heard, and I like I said, I just get a kick out of him. I was shocked and we all picked Chase U to defend. I was shocked that they lost, but after I saw what happened, in the aftermath, okay, I see what they're trying to do here. I thought maybe they'd wait a little while before that, but okay, whatever. I thought the women's North American Championship was pretty okay, pretty good. Um, I like Wendy Chu. I feel like she would have looked better against a more seasoned opponent, but I thought she had some interesting offense and her counters. Like that was an interesting story because Kelani Jordan, I guess they're trying to build her up to say she's learning how to deal with people who are better at this than her, and but she keeps winning. So cool, whatever they're doing with that title, cool. I think Jada Parker will be women's champion sometime within the next year. I think she's going to have to be, if not women's champion, then North American champion, because she's too good. And I enjoyed that match with Roxanne Perez. I saved the last two because, one, a TNA superstar got a win on a WWE PLE. Zachary Wentz, the X Division champ, beating Wesley. Cool to see. Good match, too. It was kind of fun to watch. Um, but also, I enjoyed the main event mainly because of the aftermath. I liked the story they told, and I liked Trick Williams having the, just missing the shenanigans and having the call the three on Joe Hendry. And I liked the beatdown that Pete Dunne gave him, and I liked the diss track that he released on the following Monday, Labor Day, complete with music video, against Pete Dunne, which I thought was the most unhinged thing I've seen in a long time. I sent it to you all. If you didn't watch it, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you should. You'll think it's 1996 all over again. The way they did it. So those are my thoughts on the show. What about you, Encyclopedia?
So for all the predictability that Rob just said WWE is, NXT definitely didn't give us that. And that is a WWE product. Maybe it's Shawn Michaels booking. So I had a few thoughts. The Chase U title loss, like you said, didn't see that coming. I feel like Chase U are kind of the one-hit wonders of NXT now because it seems like they get the tag team belts and they drop it pretty quickly. They don't really get
like
it.
the next week.
Yeah, which I find frustrating. I find them pretty entertaining for such a corny, fun act. Kelani Jordan, she's not ready for the North American Championship. She's not ready for any titles. She's still green, and I feel like people are having a hard time even leading her through a decent match. I don't know what they see in her right now. Not that she doesn't have potential. I just don't think she's ready for the spot she's in. So I would honestly, even so, when she defended against Sol Ruka, I'm not a Sol Ruka fan by any means, but I could see Sol Ruka being able to carry that title more. Kalani, I just think is too green right now. But I felt the same thing about Omofemi, and he picked it up pretty quickly. The Omofemi Tony Angelo match, I actually saw feedback that there was this actually challenger wise. This was probably one of the quickest and least interesting opponents that he defeated. I don't agree. I thought it was different because it was more of a power.
Yeah, I'm surprised people felt that way.
Yeah,
I mean, he ragdolled him a couple times, and you don't see people do that to Obafemi.
right. So I was perfectly fine with it. I would have loved to see Tony D'Angelo get a singles title. That's not the Heritage Cup. But Obafemi's just the golden child right now. So be it. Roxanne Perez. I mean, she's killing it, but now she's got Julia, and it looks like the CW debut. That's a title match. So that'll be interesting. I'll be honest, Zachary Wentz versus Wesley, I could give two fucks about either one of those guys. I've never been a Wesley fan. I don't understand him. I've said that off and on. I don't want to spend several minutes boring people with that. But what I thought NXT missed in that match was Zachary Wentz came out with the X Division title. As you said, you could have made that an X Division title defense. Or you could make it non-title because he just won the belt. That's fine. They've done that before. But the graphics did not make any mention of him being the X Division champion, which I thought was a miss.
Only Vic and Booker made mention of it.
Right.
And if you were watching it on mute, you wouldn't have known when he had what that title was or when he got it. That's very true.
I think Rob wanted to chime in there.
I have a question. I read an article that said, basically in a nutshell, that TNA is not benefiting from this NXT relationship at all. That NXT is basically just using TNA as like they're trying to figure out who they want to sign when they become free agents, and they're using it as like, hey, if we get Joe Hendry, we don't have to introduce him. Everybody already knows who he is. We can just plug him right in and start using him, and then maybe move him up to the main roster or something like that. And since I'm not really, I know of this, but I'm not following it as closely as you guys. I was wondering what your thoughts on that were, because the article basically said like NXT is they're not sending over their best, and their appearances are hardly noticeable. Like I forget who they sent over, but I didn't even know who some of these people were.
Tatum Paxley, Brooks Jensen,
those are them.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Pete Dunne.
Meanwhile, NXT is getting the best of TNA, or some of the best.
Gallus.
And Gallus, yeah.
Right, Joe Hendry and Jordana Grace.
Jordan Grace.
Jordan, yeah.
Right. So either one of you guys can take that. If you got any thoughts on that, do you think TNA is benefiting from this?
I don't disagree with that statement. I think what TNA is getting is exposure for some of their signed talent on a much bigger show as far as audience is concerned. Does anybody get what channel are they even on TNA? Is it Access?
I don't know.
Access.
I don't have it.
I don't have Access.
I would try and watch it if I had it, because it sounds like it's a decent product. But
yeah,
I mostly see it on YouTube. Like I'll catch matches on YouTube, basically.
I think they do post stuff on YouTube, and I'll just be honest, I don't have the time. Yeah, I think TNA, what they're getting out of this is exposure. But you're absolutely right. If this is supposed to be a true crossing over, and I think we see it with AEW, with the New Japan people, the CMLL people. You very rarely see the guests, so to speak, coming in and getting a win. It's rare. It's very rare. So
I mean, the one thing I'll say about that is with AEW and New Japan is they will trade victories. When they're on a New Japan card, the New Japan guy will win, or at least like they'll try and balance it out somewhat. But for the most part, I think you're right. And it's like, sorry, Reverend, what do you think? You think it's
that's one of the other things. Sorry, did you have more? I can.
Yeah, I wasn't done.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
What I will say is, Joe Hendry, I think, is the guy you could argue is he's gotten some wins in NXT. He got a title shot. An TNA guy got a title shot on an NXT pay-per-view. So that's something. I mean, nobody really believed he was going to win. And honestly, I don't think I picked against him because I didn't think he could win. I think it was just that Ethan Page just got the belt at the last event. It's too soon. I would have rather Hendry maybe get the title shot at Halloween Havoc than I might have felt differently. And I do have a follow-up on the theory I wanted, or an opinion I want to get from the Reverend, but Reverend, go ahead, follow up with
Yeah.
the other.
Also on that, I feel you on picking against Joe Hendry, because it was more a pick for Ethan Page than against Joe Hendry for that match. Although it's the kind of match where he's protected in the loss, because it's not just him losing clean, and that's a big deal. And also, I know you don't care about the two individuals, but the TNA X Division champion got a pinfall on a WWE PLE. That's also something you didn't see when, for instance, they were doing that deal with AEW. But I do think the real bigger benefit would be if some bigger WWE guys were showing up at the TNA pay-per-views. Like, I'll find out Slammiversary happened, 3 days after it happened. That's how I always find out about Slammiversary. Oh shit, it was Slammiversary. I didn't know that. But I would have known more if they had built up something where an NXT guy was going over there to challenge for something, or even just for a grudge match or something like that. If they start doing that towards the end of this year, I think the deal ends up being better. The deal is also really good for Joe Hendry, because the contract he has right now basically is, well, go wherever you want, learn with these folks, go do these companies, but you're our guy. And that's pretty great for him. But,
Yeah. And before I get to the real point I wanted to ask you about, did you find Trick Williams referee? First off, when he got knocked out of the ring, it was kind of like with Joe Hendry got pushed into him, and I was like, dude, you're like a former NXT champion. You got hit by one shot, you were down for that long.
It's that
and
shirt.
Then, yeah.
It's the ref shirt. It saps all your strength.
Right? Yeah, I guess it's like cutting Samson's hair. And then when the backup referee, which that was the other thing, no referee wanted to be involved with any Ethan Page match, but all of a sudden the second referee showed right up. So, okay, I could overlook that. But then the referee, when he was about to count to 3, and Trick slid in and stopped the count, and I'm like, why? How do you justify this?
Okay,
so weird.
We have seen, there is precedent for this, where we have seen one referee witness the cheating and stopping the count from happening. Or sometimes just reversing the call overall and saying, no, this is what happened, reverse the call.
But what was the cheating there? That's the part I'm not remembering, I guess.
Yeah. So I think that wasn't the low blow. It was something else he did after knocking Trick out.
Maybe it was the fact that Trick saw him hit Joe Hendry, so that's why he's stopping the count. But I was sitting there like, all right, that's weak sauce at this point.
Yeah. But I get it, because Trick also doesn't like Ethan Page, so he would want to screw.
Yeah, and they did surprise me in the fact that I thought Pete Dunne was going to get involved during the match, not after. So I was like, all right, that was that. At least they went unpredictable. That this is the bigger question: has Joe Hendry on NXT television gotten bigger than Trick Williams? Because I think he has. I think he's getting a much better reaction than Trick Williams is. Not that Trick Williams is getting a bad reaction, but I feel like the fans are more behind Joe Hendry at this point.
Isn't Joe Hendry, hasn't he gotten out into the real world too? I mean, I thought I saw people
he's
quoting him and stuff on shows and things like that.
Well, he
literally,
he lives everywhere.
Yeah, he marketed himself so well in the UK that he put himself on billboards outside of Clash of the Castle. His theme song became like a top 10 hit. Like the guy knows how to market himself. So he's really good at that. And as you said, I don't think it's a matter of if, but when WWE eventually signs this guy, he's already going to be a made man. I mean, he's even come out as far as saying he wouldn't mind being selected as one of John Cena's opponents on his retirement tour. Mm-hmm. I can see it happening.
Very true. All right, I just sent you guys a text, and the reason why I sent you the text, it kind of leans into what we were talking about.
Why did you send me a naked picture?
Oh, sorry, that's from my own portfolio.
I was gonna say
Swipe
you
over.
didn't send the video earlier this week. You lying son of a bitch.
I sent it. I sent it to our group chat on Instagram.
He did send it.
Oh, I
Yes,
don't.
I did.
I don't.
Freddie
I just didn't watch
How many
acknowledged it.
different ways do I have to
El
check?
Oso acknowledged it, and I don't even know if he watches this show anymore. So I'm telling you, I was there. It was real. It really happened. But anyway,
Are you saying acknowledge me?
El Oso acknowledged me. He acknowledged me.
He's the only one.
But the point about it is, to what you were saying about the meme, the kind of rising popularity of Joe Hendry, and is it eclipsing their stars? I think it was almost eclipsing everybody.
Mhm.
Really, he'd just become a household name for a while, and I think he still is. And then the Trick Williams thing happened on Labor Day, and suddenly there's a groundswell of people writing articles about that. It even got into Forbes. Like it, I think there's room for both because it's NXT. It's okay. So I don't think there's going to be a point where Hendry is back in TNA doing his thing for a few weeks or for a couple months before he makes another appearance. And I think Trick Williams will get that status back. But yeah, it's a good problem to have, because maybe this is the kind of thing that will make those kids in NXT work that much harder and that much hungrier. So yeah, that's what we all thought of No Mercy.
It's funny how Joe Hendry is promoting himself so well under the Vince era. He probably would have been punished for it.
Yes. You know what he's doing? He's doing what Zack Ryder did early on, when basically he just started doing social media stuff and YouTube stuff on his own. And that became a template for so many people now. But WWE doesn't punish it anymore, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Speaking of punishment, we segue to our Odyssey Jones conversation, and this week we found out that Odyssey Jones had been removed from the WWE roster page and fired from the company. And at first there was no reasoning, and no one really would say anything. I mean, I think Xavier Woods was like, "Hey, I didn't do it."
Yes.
And do what?
Keeping that kayfabe alive.
Right. And we found out it was for allegations of domestic violence.
Yes.
And then a little later in the week, Nikki, right? Nikki Garcia.
Nikki Garcia.
And her husband, some allegations of domestic abuse.
Just say Artem.
Artem, yeah. And there was an arrest, and I don't know. I mean, not good, right? Not good. I don't know. I don't know what to say about these kind of things. It's a shame. Odyssey Jones had just been brought up to the main roster, right? He was put it with the New Day. I don't know if he was going to be a permanent member, but he was certainly getting the rub. And then Nikki Garcia, known better as Nikki Bella, and her husband were with her reality show and him being on Dancing with the Stars. My daughter was devastated because she loves him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And when she found out, she's like, "Daddy, tell me it's not true." And I was like, "Honey, all the news has to come out first. Let's not judge until we have a better idea what happened. It could be a lot of things. But just not good news, not a good look. I don't know if you guys have any additional thoughts on any of this. I mean, what else really could you say? But I'll open the floor to my two esteemed colleagues if anybody has anything they want to add.
The only thing that bothered me, I mean, the whole situation bothers me. But I think what really shocked me the most is in the comment I saw on a post on 411 Mania where someone insinuated Nicole's peers have not shown support on social media on the level that he or she, whoever this was, expected, and that previous well-known partners of hers have indicated she's very controlling. It was almost as if this person was trying to justify what happened. And I was like, how do you even do that? And what kind of piece of shit human being can you be to even insinuate that made it okay?
Have you met the comment section?
Oh my God.
That's
Yeah.
the answer to that question.
I mean,
Is
it's just like I follow a lot of celebrities on Instagram, and sometimes they repost some of the comments they get from people following them or that have seen their posts, and I'm just like, what kind of piece of shit human being and low life are you that you even wasted your time? It's bad, if everyone's entitled to their opinion, I don't necessarily need to agree with it. I could still think you're a piece of shit for feeling a certain way, but to then publicize it, I just don't get the goal of people anymore.
Well,
Let's have a little bit of decorum. But anyway,
yeah, forget that.
yeah,
yeah,
whatever
well
the
said.
situation is, or how it gets resolved, either A, if there's irreconcilable differences, they can't resolve this, then I hope this goes as quickly and as easily as it possibly can for both these people, for the son, because there is a little boy involved here.
Mhm.
If she, feels like they could do the work and get to a place where this sort of thing hopefully doesn't happen again, I don't think we can necessarily judge her for it. Now, if it comes out that there's been a history of this and this isn't the first incident, that's a tough one. That makes her look worse for sticking out. I don't know. I think this is one of those scenarios that unless you're actually in the situation, who the hell are we? Because I personally know that there's been situations that I felt one way, and then when I was actually put in that situation, I realized, oh shit, and I swung the other way that I was against in the past. So I feel like the people that have the most valid opinions are people that are been in similar situations here. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm ending my comment.
it is. It's too. Each situation is unique, even though those have patterns and all that. They talk about domestic abuse and that type of thing. Those there are patterns to it and such that I think. I mean, there's a reason why they call people who come through on the other side of it as survivors. Um, but we don't know we don't know everything there is to know about it. It's a lot of headlines and a lot of internet conjecture. And I mean, it just seems like right now that there's definitely a split happening for them, which is good because you probably shouldn't be in the same house at the same time in that situation. Just doesn't seem like a good idea. And I don't know. You just hope, especially for the kids' sake, that everybody gets the help they need in here to come out on the better side. That's what you hope for in all situations. And the Odyssey Jones thing, I mean, it's historically that company after a certain point stopped playing around whenever it came to any sort of allegations at a certain level. And you know, it came from I had said to somebody, I think I was in one of the Reddit forums, and I was like, yeah, well, the best case scenario is this guy just gets benched while there's an investigation, but that's probably not where it'll end. And 5 minutes later, there came the news. Yep, they fired him. That's a shame because he just like he got I think he had gotten injured but got drafted to Raw 2 years ago or a year ago, and then they announced him again this year, and he started doing something finally. And man, way to screw it up, you know. Not for nothing. I mean, I hope best case, it's unfounded, I guess, but it doesn't seem that way. And get your stuff together.
I would
That's
like
what
to
I have to
think
say.
WWE did their due diligence
Yeah, they
before they just
can.
decided to let him go.
They have to. They
You
they
know,
I think they're in too precarious a position now. Like they
Uh,
with all the Vince stuff and that's still going on. And I don't know if you guys watched the post press conference after Bash in Berlin. That came up again, and they threw that question at Cody because Cody was doing Triple H's part during the press conference, and they had no problem throwing the question about Vince and the allegations and the continuing investigation and what's going on in court at him. So people are still looking at that.
well,
There's still a magnifying glass on
the
them.
Netflix special now is going to stir all that back up again.
Oh yeah, that's gonna
So
be a hot mess.
We have to talk about that. We have to make sure that we watch that and talk
I
about
can't
it.
wait to watch
So,
that. Was it Bill Simmons, who's well known in the sports world, and then the producer from Tiger King? It's gonna be messy. Oh,
it's funny how far WWE has gone. We've gone from like Jimmy Snuka allegedly killing a woman to now an allegation of domestic abuse gets you fired, where Vince lied and covered Jimmy Snuka's involvement in that, and it's amazing how far they've come, and it's a good thing. I mean,
Oh.
that's not, it's not something that should be taken lightly. I mean, my only caveat to that is people today seem to be found guilty before all the proof comes in,
Yes.
and I hope, like I said to you, I hope they did their due diligence and said, and did their research and found out, yes, this is, unfortunately, this is a situation you have to go, rather than just going, somebody said it, and they're like, well, we got to get rid of them.
Right.
I don't think
Right.
that's right either. So, in the end, let's hope for the best. Let's hope these situations, in the end, come out, with a better result, whatever that is. So, we'll leave that there.
I do have one comment actually. If they let him go without necessarily doing diligence right now, I don't know that I blame them because of everything that's still going on and the stink that on them because of what happened with Janelle Grant and Vince McMahon. I don't think I blame them necessarily. It might be easier for them to cut bait now, and then if it turns out he's innocent, then we'll figure something out later.
I think it's kind of unfair.
I didn't say it was fair.
Right. So
I didn't say it was fair. I'm saying right now, publicly traded company with the lawsuit currently on hold.
I understand. I mean, I get it.
You understand for once.
No, not for once. Maybe twice.
That's the second time you've agreed with them in one.
Yeah, I know. I
recording.
should probably hang up now. Things can only get worse.
So we would like to thank the Devil's Advocate for his efforts and his contributions the last few years. This will be his last episode because he can't believe he agreed with me twice in one sitting.
I need to reevaluate my entire life, I think.
Don't forget, you made me godfather to your daughter, so that's on you.
I try. You don't let me.
You make a lot of wrong mistakes there, don't you?
Yeah, shit. All right. So let's move on to so we had a few weeks ago we had what? We had All In.
A few? 2 weeks.
Well, a few is like 2 or 3.
Well, if we go by tonight, it's what, been 9 days, 10 days?
So all right. So we had All In, and now we're going All Out. And the funny part is they're still putting matches together. Because for the Okada match, we still don't know who the challenger is going to be. So that one's going to be a little tricky to pick. But we'll do our best. Maybe we'll leave that one until Friday night or Saturday morning, if we really want to wait and see who the final participant's going to be.
No, I don't need to.
Okay. So let's start off making our picks. We have the AEW World Tag Team Championship. We have the Young Bucks, Anthony's personal favorite, versus the Blackpool Combat Club, which features Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. So, do we think the Bucks retain? I think the Bucks retain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, question. Something I saw on Dynamite there. Is Moxley no longer a part of BCC?
I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, they never really addressed that.
Because they were getting their butts kicked.
Yeah.
And
but also,
he never came out to save them.
But also there's a clip of him being like he was kind of chummy with Jack Perry and the Bucks backstage. And I was like,
Not so young, stupid. I put on the sheet that we keep our picks. I have the Young Bucks, and the Reverend has the Young Bucks, and then the Encyclopedia has the Not So Young Stupid Bucks. I think that was their original name. I think they switched it to the Young Bucks for the TV cameras.
Fits on a shirt better.
Weren't they also Generation Me at some point too?
They were, and when they first started in TNA, they were Generation Me.
Okay,
This-
now that we had our
entire
laughs, I'll put
sheet-
the real name in there.
This entire sheet, you're a little salty on this thing, man.
Who, me?
So, yeah.
No, last
yeah,
a few weeks
spicy
ago
on
it was
here.
him.
Huh?
Remember he left his comments for
I'm
everyone.
just saying. I'm just noting.
Right, but
I'm not judging it. I'm
I
just
didn't use-
noting it.
I didn't use profanity.
There's some
I was
other
just
comment. There's
I was
another
playing into
comment
my
coming up.
character.
All right.
Even if I like the Young Bucks, and actually I don't have a problem with Matt Jackson, I just got to play into it. Anyway.
All right. So we have an
the
AEW
Jackson.
Continental title match. Do you know who the participants to all these matches are? So we can pick, because you seem to know who you're going to pick as the winner.
Come on,
Or-
Okada's
or-
retaining. Can we
Or you're just going to go Okada? Yeah,
I'm just going
Yeah,
Okada.
let's
Who
go
the
Okada.
Well, I mean, the one match, the one guy I hope that wins is Takesha,
Ooh,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
would be a nice match.
because that would be a really good match. And they're setting those two guys up, because this week when Okada wrestled Kyle Fletcher at the end of the match, he came out
That's right.
and was kind of throwing words at Okada. So I'm hoping they're setting these two guys up for. I'd like to see them go.
That's and again though, this is when you have your major pay-per-views 10 days apart. That's something I'd love to see them promote. I'd love to see them promote the hell out of that match.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's a marquee match. So I'm going to go Okada. I think Reverend Okada.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think.
I thought you wanted me to look up these matches too.
Well, you said no, so I just went.
Oh yeah, you said
Yeah, that doesn't mean. But yeah, for the benefit of you and Jason, you don't have to go with what I said. Orange Cassidy's facing what's his name, Brian Keith.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually, I thought that was pretty funny when Jericho referenced the $7,000 jacket that Orange Cassidy ruined years ago, and then Orange Cassidy said something. Came in, said something to Keith after Brian Keith said his spiel, and then he said hi Renee and walked away. That was funny.
Mark Briscoe is wrestling Lance Archer, I think, right?
Probably. Of course, I found the post that only mentions the one match.
Why is the Ring of Honor champion trying to go for other titles?
Because the Ring of Honor championship is only good to hold your pants up. Because that's how they treat that belt. I mean, when's the last time you've seen Athena on TV?
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Like, they don't ever, all the women that promote, she's never featured on Dynamite or Rampage.
She's only on Ring of Honor.
Only on Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
If you were running that company, and I know you do a better job than what they're doing it now anyway, would you really feature Athena? Because
no, well, look, I would have bought the
think
Ring
you're
of Honor
going to-
library, and I would have waited till we got a network, and I would have ran old Ring of Honor shows. I never would have revived Ring of Honor. Or if I was going to revive Ring of Honor, it would have been my minor league affiliate, where it's where I'm going to get my future people. I would have never do what they do now, where they just kind of mention them in and out, and it doesn't make any sense. There's already enough belts on this show. We don't really need the Ring of Honor people running around with their belts too. So that's here off my soapbox. Okay, I'm back on the ground.
Running with their belts, pretending they don't care about their belts.
So you didn't put Okada for me, but I'm still going Okada, even though we don't know all the participants in the other matches. I think Mark Briscoe and Lance Archer is one. Orange Cassidy and Brian Keith is another, and then there's one more set of matches, and I cannot remember what they are.
Yeah, I can't find it. Maybe I should actually go to the AEW website. But anyway, continue.
Like they know.
Watch Rampage and I think it's Collision tomorrow.
Oh my
night.
God!
Have all the matches.
Yeah. Did you see that? By the way, Collision from 8 to 10, Rampage from 10 to 11, Countdown All Out from 11 to 12. So it's not enough that you got to sit through a 4-hour pay-per-view on Saturday. You got to sit through 4 hours of a lead into it the night before. Get the fuck out of here. Please.
We're getting into rant territory here.
Hell yeah.
I'm waiting to see.
Oh shit. Did you guys see Lance Archer murder everybody backstage?
You know what?
Nobody of consequence, but
they have screwed his character up so bad. Who cares?
Couldn't they have done that about 3 years ago?
I mean, he's lost to Darby Allin. He's lost to Orange Cassidy. I mean, once you start losing to guys that much smaller than you, who cares? All right,
It's a shame.
moving on. MJF against Danny Garcia. This one, to me, is got a little intrigue to it
Mm-hmm.
because you could really put Danny Garcia on the map, make him a legitimate world title contender with a win over MJF. On the other hand, do you really see MJF losing a second match within 2 weeks?
It's tough.
Yes, I do. Can't even do that with a straight face.
It's
I mean,
tough because it would be real, like you said, it would be great for Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wants to go out on a limb and pick Garcia, but I don't think they're going to go that direction. I think he's going to wrestle well. I think it's going to be a good match, but I think MJF pulls it out in the end.
Do you think maybe there's a possibility he 1, 2, 3 kids him? Now just gets the surprise pin.
Oh, I thought I was going to make a nasty joke about China, but then I realized I didn't want to do that. So
One night in China.
It's Triple X Pac now.
What? The other thing is, there's been no confirmation that Daniel Garcia has signed a new contract. Isn't his contract up?
Well, that's the other thing. The other thing is his contract is up.
Yeah.
And you know how wrestling companies are about putting guys over who are not signed, right? You're usually putting people over on the way out.
Yep.
So, Reverend, I'm sure you've prayed over this one. What do you think?
It's a really tough one.
Is it?
Yeah, it actually is because I want the company to do things that are good for them. That's why it's a tough one to choose.
So, are you saying Garcia beating MJF?
Yes. Building up, because MJF can take 2 losses in a row and not lose his shine because he's MJF. And all he has to do is show up the next Wednesday and be MJF, and he'll be fine. But
as you would say, fair.
You said the MJF.
Well, yeah, that's it.
BM, get it? BM, bowel movement. Never mind.
God, we've lost it.
If
you just make your picks faster, we can get done.
This is it. I'm gonna make the optimistic pick. I'm picking Garcia.
All right.
Make an optimistic pick.
Same guy that picked Jada Parker last week. Where did that get yourself, sir? I'm trying to help you here. I'm trying to save you from yourself.
Oh,
see, this is why.
What did I say when I picked Jada Parker? I don't care what actually happens. I'm going to start picking Jada Parker. That's it. That's all there is to it.
This is Reverend. You have forced me to team up with the Encyclopedia. That's how bad your picks are.
All of the marketing around this episode will be you agreeing with him.
If I remember that tomorrow when I make the post.
All right. We have the international championship because we'd already have a continental championship in a world. Like I said, everybody's got a belt. You get a belt, and you get a belt. I did that joke last week. All right. We have the trios champion, Pac, versus Will Ospreay. And personally, I don't know how Will Ospreay is still walking around because Pac keeps dropping Will Ospreay on his head.
Right.
I don't know how Will Ospreay can tell what his name is, like how he gets home at night. He should have like 8 concussions by now.
Every time I turn around, one-syllable name.
Will Ospreay on his head. But of course, Ospreay is going to win, and I see the Encyclopedia has already put that in. I don't think anybody's doubting that.
No.
Yep.
You got it.
By the way, so the next one is this Chicago street fight between Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. This being for the CMLL women's.
No. It is not for the title.
When did that change?
I read something online today that said that CMLL does not want their title defended on an AEW show.
Oh Lord.
Or
yeah, why do we want exposure?
I might be wrong. It might be that they didn't want it defended in a street fight. I can't remember right now which is which, but it's one of those reasons that's why I took it off the sheet because it's not for the title anymore.
That's fair.
I think it might have been because of the street fight, but I don't remember, and I don't really feel like looking it up because I don't care about the stupid feud anymore. This has been going on for way too long.
And what did I put for you?
I know the fans, since the last time we have to see the feud, no one cares about it. Is it? Am I right? Am I wrong? I mean, this has been going on forever.
Somebody
I don't
cares.
even really see the feud much.
Somebody cares. It
just keeps going.
It's just not us.
I'm not mad at them for doing it. I mean, if you got nothing for them, you give them something to do.
Right, but
Maybe
they
they'll
can move
just have
on
a
from
really good match.
move on from each other. That's all you have to do is let them
Again,
fight other people.
if you got nothing for them, and AEW is a company that often has nothing for folks, let them fight each other.
Hey, is Julia Hart hurt?
That's a good question.
I think so.
Yeah.
She's been out a long time.
It feels like there's a lot of women from that division missing.
This episode's going a long time
who
too.
else?
That's a good point. Maybe there just weren't that many. No, maybe there seriously weren't that
Well, I
many.
mean, if you're thinking like the bunny, she's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, is she?
Yeah,
Okay.
she did not. They let her go.
Penelope Ford.
Yeah, Penelope Ford. She's
Okay.
gone too. Or...
No. I meant she hasn't been on in a while. I suspect that some of them are on Ring of Honor.
Where's
You don't watch
I
Ring of
think
Honor.
that's what it
what's
is.
the one red? What's her name?
Red Velvet.
Red Velvet.
Where's Red Velvet?
She's baking cakes.
Layla Gray.
I saw
That
a
was her
poster
partner?
last night that was like, "We want Layla Gray," and I was like, "Who wants?"
I couldn't pick her out of a lineup, so I don't know who that is.
She was the little short, stocky.
Oh, her? She
Yeah.
stunk.
When she was one of the what's her name's baddies. It was Red Velvet and Layla Gray.
I tell you who I wish
Okay,
wasn't
now
on
I
the
know who it
TV is Marina Shafir, and the fact that she's getting a spot with Moxley, I'm like, can somebody explain this? Because I know Rob says a lot. I don't get it. I don't get that one at all.
Well, I'm giving it a chance because maybe there's an explanation.
I mean,
I don't
she
know how
looks fierce until there's a match.
I wonder how Renee feels about that.
How does Roderick feel?
Oh, is that his?
That would be
woman?
so funny for
That's his
Roderick to be
wife,
like,
yeah.
Marina.
John, what are you doing with my wife?
Whoa!
By the way,
all right.
okay, so let's get back. Who are we picking here?
I think
Uh,
Statlander, I guess.
I think
sure.
this is the only match that I'm not sure about.
I'm not sure about.
I think they're going to
Paige,
trade
but...
wins. So yeah, I think Willow won last time. So yeah, Statlander this time.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I mean, who cares, honestly?
There's that too. All right. Out of the blue, Hikaru Shida, who's calling herself the Ace. That segment last night was like interesting.
When she pulled her shirt up, and I was like, please have nothing on underneath.
Right. I was like, that's not what I want to see.
I'm like, why are you wearing so much clothes?
Look on Reddit. Just look on Reddit under her name. They'll take care of that one for you. Is anyone picking against Monet here or Money?
I wish she would disappear and never come back, but no.
I'm picking her, but I'll be so glad if we're wrong.
But no, wait a minute. You can't put that because I didn't say who she was. So you have to say, I wish Monet would disappear and never come back. Okay, fair enough.
I gotcha.
Fair enough.
That whole segment then when.
I mean, the problem is with 2 weeks to build up a card.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Well,
right. And I mean, let's face it. She is a viable contender, right? She's a former multiple-time champion. It's just there's no build.
I think I think you could have done rematches from the last pay-per-view and it would have made more sense than what we're getting. I feel like last year's All Out, they at least some of the matches were built up very quickly, like in 1 or 2 episodes, because I think it was only a week in between. But there were other matches that were built up before All In, and those people just didn't appear on All In.
I don't know
why. I think that's where they screwed up here.
Right? Like, why isn't Christian on this show? Like, why couldn't they have built up both shows and just split it down the middle? Like, we're going to use these 6 matches for All In, and these 6 matches for All Out.
Yeah.
I felt like, you're right.
And
it felt
there's
like
so
they
many
did
people
do
on the
that
roster
last year,
not being used, right? They could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Where
we got a Miro match last year.
Right. Where are the guns?
That's
Where's FTR and the grizzled young veterans? Where there are matches missing that could be on the show that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, now when you say that FTR grizzled young vets match, they set it up. They set it up.
That's what I'm saying. Why couldn't they build both shows at the same time? Then you wouldn't be so pissed that you're getting 2 pay-per-views 2 weeks apart. I mean, other than having to pay for both of them, if that's what you do.
Folks are going to be short on
but at least you'd have 2 different cards.
Yeah, I saw a quote today that Tony Khan indicated that league-wise, like leagues, like sports leagues, that AEW actually brings in the most money because their fans are loyal and order every single one of their events, and at a price point of $50. And but I mean, he didn't say the $50, but he said they were the most loyal fans and spend the most money on their streaming. And I was saying to myself, do you think that that's something to brag about? That seems like a problem if you ask
Well,
me in
the
some
other thing I don't
respects.
get is if that's the case, why don't they offer like a twofer?
Mhm.
Like if you order both pay-per-views, you get them both for $35 a piece rather than 50.
Would be nice.
Wouldn't that make sense?
Because
Or
there's
if you
there's
order
people
this
that'll pay for
pay-per-view,
both.
you get a T-shirt or something.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like make it worth my while to order both of them. We have the unsanctioned lights out steel. Now, what's the difference between a steel cage match and a lights out? Is it going to be in the dark?
Is
I
this
didn't
gonna
even
be
know.
like that LA Knight Bray Wyatt match from a few years back?
No, this is going to be. They're going to turn. They're going to have Roberts in the ring announce that this following match is unsanctioned by AEW. Then they're going to turn, and to symbolize that we're going to turn the lights off. They're going to turn the lights off for a second and turn them back on. They did
Then
this
that,
shit before with I think it was Omega and Moxley.
Because
then that
I
should
think
be
it's
your
funny.
main event.
Oh no,
Tony Khan,
this is the last match.
Tony Khan
Guaranteed.
Okay.
comes out and he's like, "I'm this steel cage match, but I'm going to make it an unsanctioned lights out." I'm like, "Isn't that already the case?"
It would have been great if he said something like, "Because I don't want to have to pay for your medical bills after." Like that would have been a great line.
No, no, you know what it would have been if he wanted to keep a character. He should have said, "This is one of the most exciting times in AEW
I
history."
was just going to say that this is going to be the greatest match in AEW history until the next pay-per-view. I mean, no wait, no wait. Let me do it right. This is going to be the greatest match in AEW history. Did everybody see that?
Oh my god!
I don't have the hair.
You got to drink about a gallon of espresso before.
Espresso? He's drinking that prime.
All right. All right.
All right. Anyway,
Unsanctioned lights out steel cage match.
It's a tough one.
Swerve Strickland with Prince Nana versus Hangman Adam Page. Now this week on Dynamite, Hangman Adam Page Burton Swerve Strickland's house down.
Well, you know what the setup
I
was for
thought
that,
that was
right?
pretty interesting.
It
Actually,
was good. But
This was a really good setup on their part.
yeah.
Like them announcing at the beginning of the week of the day, like the day before that, he just signed the contract and Nana helped him get his family home.
You know what's funny? I was reading I hadn't seen the show yet, but I was reading a review, as it was going along live, and the guy who reviewed it was like talking about this house, and he goes, if Hangman Page burns the house down at the end of the show, this is gonna be the greatest show ever. And I was like, they're not gonna do that, are they? And then I didn't want to read the rest of it, but I started watching, and I'm like, he's gonna burn his house down.
Yep.
And the funny part was, did you see when he threw the flames down? I thought Hangman almost set himself on fire. It got really close to him, like it looked like it was right behind him. I was like, it would be funny if Hangman sets himself on fire. Yeah, he's like rolling on the ground.
It was worth it.
Cowboy shit. I'm rolling in cowboy shit. All right. So
I gotta say, story-wise, I thought AEW was great. The wrestling, I was kind of like, all right, enough already.
they're really doing better with the storylines. They really are. They're trying. I mean, they're really trying to put some effort into making some storylines. It's not just matches.
I think the question is it too little, too late?
Well, no, I
there's
don't
been
think it's
that
too little,
saying
too late.
that Hangman Adam Page has maybe been the best character they've created and the best character arc they've had in the history of the company, because he's gone through everything, because he's only like this now because of what Swerve put him through.
So I mean, that lends the question: does he finally get a win over Swerve?
I was gonna say he hasn't actually beat him.
Right.
He hasn't actually beaten him. Can Swerve handle 2 consecutive losses? If Hangman loses, what happens to him? Does he drop down the card? I mean, I think Hangman Page has to win.
I feel like he does.
But is he going to get rewarded for burning someone's house down with a win? I mean, isn't the arc that he should lose? But the funny part about this is neither guy is really loved or hated. They're kind of in the middle, right? And in the past, you always had the bad guy does something to the good guy, and the good guy wins and gets his revenge. But in this case, we got two guys that have kind of done shitty things to each other, right? And I mean, Hangman pretty much summed it up. You went to my house, you saw me with my pregnant wife, and I mean, you remember Swerve with what's his name? That guy's I can't think of Nick Wayne,
Yep.
right?
Went
I mean,
to his place,
right?
beat the crap out of him.
He's not a good guy,
Nope.
right?
Right.
So, who gets their comeuppance?
And the thing with Hangman is, whether you think he's a good guy now or not, the argument is he's been pushed to this point. Like,
Right.
he's been pushed past his breaking point so many times.
But I mean, the last match they stapled shit to each other, and they did like a lot of like where are they gonna go?
The last match, are we referring to the number one contender match that went to a 30-minute time limit draw, though? There was another match.
Right, but I mean,
That's
what I'm
right.
saying is in the past they've glass and staples and like
Yeah.
all the over the topness.
Mhm.
How are they going to take this to the next level? Off the top of the cage, I guess.
Mm.
Oh.
All right, so enough speculation. Who do we think is going to win?
It's tough, man.
I feel like every time I picked in this feud, I picked incorrectly. I've thought for sure Paige was going to win last time because especially with Swerve, with the shit he did to him, you thought Paige was going to actually get a win in the beginning of this.
They're going to give Hangman the win this time.
I think so too.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm going to agree with you because I don't want to fall too far behind, but I could see it going either way.
Well, I mean, I could be swayed, but I don't see the point of Strickland winning yet again.
The only thing I would say is Strickland just lost the belt, so if you have him lose a second time, then what?
Well, then
really,
you regroup him.
Yeah,
you could do that with Paige too. Paige has been on the losing streak. It's not like Paige has really been knocking on people.
If Paige puts a real legit hurting on him, it lets you take him off TV for a few weeks. Hey, maybe you get a vacation now after your title run, and whatever.
I mean, and Swerve just re-signed, so he's not like he's going anywhere. So
we should have seen a Swerve's house match, and they should have done it in the chart house.
That's what I thought they were doing. I thought they were going to do it in the house.
It would be very Bray Wyatt in some respects.
Then,
right?
Then they could call the pay-per-view in your house.
In whose house?
Swerve. All right. The final match. I don't think there's any discussion here needed. The AEW World Championship. We have the scapegoat Jack Perry versus Bryan Danielson. Does anybody think Jack Perry has a shot in hell?
I think he has a shot. I don't think it's a good one.
What I would love to see, if you're a champion and you're challenging another guy and you lose, you have to vacate your title. I would love to see him. If he loses, he has to give up the TNT title, because you give up that title because you don't win.
Oh, that's a rough one. It at least explains why Perry went over Darby Allin, because I was bitching big time last week. Like, why is Perry beating Allin, who's got a title shot coming up? Well, now we know why.
Now we know why, and Christian too, right? So I mean,
and Christian is a
got
contender now.
Coming up.
Christian's got the equivalent of a Money in the Bank, though, so that I'm okay with that one. But
I think this match is going to be used to set up something with Moxley, and bring back that Danielson-Moxley feud.
It'd be curious to see how long Danielson plans on hanging on.
Yeah,
and who he plans on losing to when it's all said and done. All right. Well, am I correct across the board, Danielson?
I would love to see Jack Perry actually win, but yeah, I'm going Danielson.
Oh my God. The internet would explode.
Oh, the internet would go crazy.
And then
people are already pitching that he's not a title contender.
I mean,
oh well.
They can say that all they want, but he is, as he's the contender in this match.
I think he's certainly worthy of a title shot. I don't think he should win, but
I do like the way they've been building him.
I mean, he's more interesting than he's ever been.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, are we wrapping up? Do we have any other topics we want to talk about?
Anthony's
doing this. Okay, so wrap us up there, Encyclopedia.
All right. We thank you all for listening or watching in this case. Remember to check us out on Sports Frenzy Pod on Twitter. Sports Frenzy Pod on Twitter, the Sports Frenzy Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget about OTBS. I know some of the social media has been rebranded to that, but obviously check out Freddie and Big E Mafia. And we thank you guys for listening. We will catch you again next week. Peace.